Have you ever felt like you're working out endlessly, pushing yourself to the limit, only to be left wondering why you're not seeing the muscle growth you expected? You might be stuck in that classic dilemma: should you lift heavier with fewer reps or go lighter and increase your rep count? If you're confused, you're not alone. This debate has been raging for years, even among experts in the fitness world. From bodybuilders to CrossFit enthusiasts and weekend warriors, everyone seems to have their own opinion, often backed by scientific research. But what's the real answer? How many reps are actually best for building muscle and increasing mass? I'm diving into this theme to cut through the noise and give you the clarity you've been searching for. Stick around until the end, because I guarantee there's something here you haven't heard before, and it just might make a huge difference in your training journey. Let's break down the three primary categories of repetition ranges: low, medium, and high repetitions. Low repetitions, 1 to 6 movements. Low repetitions, typically ranging from 1 to 6 movements per set, are predominantly associated with strength gains. This is the range where your muscles are exposed to heavier loads, encouraging the body to recruit more muscle fibers, particularly the fast twitch fibers, which are responsible for generating maximum force in short bursts. These fast twitch fibers fatigue quickly, but are crucial in generating explosive power, which makes this repetition range ideal for athletes focused on increasing their raw strength and performance in sports that require short, intense bursts of effort, like sprinting, powerlifting, or Olympic weightlifting. One of the key physiological responses during low repetition training is an increase in neuromuscular efficiency. This refers to the body's ability to communicate with muscles more effectively, improving the synchronization of motor units. The more motor units your body can activate during a movement, the more force you can produce, which is why strength-focused athletes often see improvements in their ability to lift progressively heavier weights over time when they stick to this rep range. Another benefit of training with low repetitions is that it helps improve bone density and joint integrity due to the heavier weights involved. However, while low repetitions are effective for building strength, they are less optimal for promoting muscle hypertrophy or the growth of muscle size, since the volume of work, total reps, is lower, which means the time the muscle spends under tension is reduced. While low rep training does increase muscle density and strength, those primarily interested in increasing muscle size may want to include a mix of other rep ranges. Medium repetitions, 7 to 12 movements. Medium repetitions, typically ranging from 7 to 12 reps, are often considered the sweet spot for muscle hypertrophy or growth in muscle size. In this range, the weight is still heavy enough to stimulate muscle fibers to grow, but there is also enough volume to extend the time muscles spend under tension, which is a key factor in hypertrophy. During medium rep training, both fast twitch and slow twitch muscle fibers are activated, creating a more comprehensive muscle stimulus that promotes growth. In the 7 to 12 rep range, the balance between load and volume creates optimal conditions for muscle protein synthesis, the process that leads to muscle repair and growth after exercise. The mechanical tension, combined with the metabolic stress in this range, encourages the accumulation of metabolites like lactate, which has been shown to play a role in signaling muscle growth. For those aiming to maximize muscle mass, this rep range is often the most effective, as it strikes the right balance between lifting a challenging weight and performing enough reps to accumulate sufficient time under tension. This also provides enough volume to create microtears in the muscle fibers, which, when repaired, lead to an increase in muscle size. High repetitions, more than 12 movements. High repetitions, typically more than 12 reps per set, shift the focus from strength and hypertrophy to muscular endurance. This range involves lighter weights and longer periods of sustained muscular contraction, which trains the body's ability to maintain force over a longer period of time. When working in this rep range, the body mainly recruits slow-twitch muscle fibers, which are more resistant to fatigue but produce less force than fast-twitch fibers. Training with high repetitions improves the muscle's ability to utilize oxygen more efficiently, leading to better endurance. It is commonly employed in sports that require sustained effort, like cycling, swimming, or long-distance running. Over time, high-repetition training can improve muscular endurance, enabling athletes to perform more repetitions before reaching fatigue. Though not typically associated with muscle growth in the same way as medium rep ranges, high-rep training can still lead to hypertrophy, especially for beginners or those returning to training after a break. It also helps improve capillarization, or the development of new capillaries around the muscles, enhancing blood flow and nutrient delivery, which indirectly supports muscle recovery and endurance. When setting training goals, it is essential to understand how different training methods influence various aspects of physical development. Whether you're aiming to build strength, improve endurance, or increase muscle mass, your approach to repetitions, load, and exercise intensity will vary significantly. If you're enjoying the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, click the subscribe button. Strength training: fewer repetitions, heavier loads. Strength training primarily revolves around lifting heavier weights with fewer repetitions. Typically, this involves working in a rep range of 1 to 6, where the focus is on moving maximal loads. The rationale behind this approach lies in the recruitment of high-threshold motor units and fast-twitch muscle fibers. These muscle fibers generate the greatest amount of force and are activated when the body is subjected to near maximal or maximal effort. The objective in strength-focused training is not necessarily to achieve muscle growth, but to enhance the muscle's ability to generate power. By repeatedly subjecting the muscles to high levels of force, neuromuscular adaptations occur. These adaptations improve the body's ability to coordinate muscle fiber activation, leading to more efficient and powerful movements. Training for strength also has a substantial impact on joint and tendon health. Because heavier weights are used, the connective tissues of the body, including tendons and ligaments, become more resilient. This increased resilience is beneficial not only for performance, but also for injury prevention, particularly in sports or activities that require explosive power, such as sprinting, weightlifting, or wrestling. Endurance training: higher repetitions and aerobic resistance. Endurance training is characterized by the use of higher repetitions, typically involving 12 or more per set, with lighter weights. The primary aim here is to increase the muscle's capacity to sustain prolonged effort, which is essential for activities requiring stamina, such as running, cycling, or swimming. In endurance-focused workouts, slow-twitch muscle fibers are primarily engaged. These fibers are more efficient at using oxygen to generate energy over long periods, making them ideal for sustaining activity for extended durations without fatigue. Unlike fast-twitch fibers, which excel at generating force quickly, slow-twitch fibers contract more slowly but can maintain contraction for extended periods. Endurance training also heavily involves the cardiovascular system, as the body needs to deliver oxygen-rich blood to working muscles over a longer time frame. This style of training improves capillary density in the muscles, meaning that more blood vessels are available to supply oxygen and remove waste products, such as lactic acid. With time, endurance-focused athletes become more efficient at using energy and experience less fatigue during prolonged bouts of exercise. Despite focusing on lighter loads and higher repetitions, endurance training can still lead to some degree of muscle hypertrophy, especially in the early stages of a training program. However, the primary adaptation is improved aerobic capacity and the ability to sustain activity for longer without a drop in performance. Hypertrophy: muscle mass growth, targeting type 2 muscle fibers. When the goal is to build muscle mass, the training program is designed to maximize hypertrophy, or the increase in muscle size. This is achieved by focusing on moderate repetition ranges, generally between 6 and 12 reps, using weights that are heavy enough to fatigue the muscles within this range, but not so heavy that fewer than 6 reps can be performed. The key to hypertrophy training lies in targeting type 2 muscle fibers. These fast-twitch fibers have the greatest potential for growth when subjected to the right kind of stimulus. During hypertrophy-focused workouts, muscles are placed under significant mechanical tension and metabolic stress, both of which are essential for stimulating the repair and growth process. Mechanical tension, refers to the force applied to the muscle fibers during resistance training. When lifting weights that are heavy enough to cause fatigue within the 6 to 12 rep range, the muscle fibers undergo micro-tears. These micro-tears signal the body to repair the damaged fibers, and, in the process, the muscle becomes thicker and stronger. Metabolic stress, on the other hand, is related to the buildup of metabolites, such as lactate, during exercise. The accumulation of these byproducts during moderate repetition work has been shown to promote an anabolic environment within the muscle. This environment encourages the release of growth factors that support muscle repair and development. Training for muscle mass typically involves multiple sets and a variety of exercises that target different muscle groups. This ensures that the muscle fibers are exposed to different angles of tension, leading to more comprehensive development. Muscle fibers are the building blocks of our muscular system and have distinct characteristics that determine how they function during different types of physical activity. Understanding the difference between the two main types of muscle fibers, Type 1 and Type 2, can help tailor training programs to meet specific performance and fitness goals. Type 1 muscle fibers, endurance and aerobic capacity. Type 1 muscle fibers, also known as slow-twitch fibers, are primarily responsible for endurance activities. These fibers are highly resistant to fatigue, making them well-suited for exercises that require sustained effort over long periods. Activities such as distance running, swimming, cycling, and even long-distance walking rely heavily on these fibers. One of the main characteristics of Type 1 fibers is their ability to use oxygen efficiently. These fibers contain a high density of mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell, which are responsible for producing energy in the form of ATP through aerobic respiration. The high mitochondrial content allows these fibers to generate a steady supply of energy, even during prolonged exercise. This is why athletes who engage in endurance sports tend to have a high proportion of slow-twitch fibers in their muscles. Another distinctive feature of Type 1 fibers is their reliance on fat as a fuel source. During long-duration aerobic exercise, the body turns to fat stores to fuel activity, especially once glycogen stores in the muscles start to deplete. The ability to efficiently oxidize fat means that Type 1 fibers help sustain energy levels over time, allowing athletes to maintain performance for extended durations. The size of Type 1 fibers tends to be smaller compared to Type 2 fibers, and they generate less force. However, what they lack in strength, they make up for in stamina. These fibers are ideal for low-intensity, high-duration activities where sustained energy output is more important than explosive power. This makes them essential for athletes who focus on marathon running, triathlons, or any sport where endurance is key. Type 2 muscle fibers, strength, power, and hypertrophy. Type 2 muscle fibers, often referred to as fast-twitch fibers, are primarily recruited for activities that require short bursts of power and strength. Unlike Type 1 fibers, Type 2 fibers are less resistant to fatigue, but are capable of producing a significantly greater amount of force. These fibers are typically activated during high-intensity anaerobic activities such as sprinting, weightlifting, and explosive jumps. There are two subtypes of Type 2 fibers, Type 2A and Type 2B. Type 2A fibers, also called fast oxidative fibers, have a greater ability to use oxygen compared to Type 2B fibers. This means they can sustain effort for a slightly longer duration before fatigue sets in. Type 2B fibers, on the other hand, are designed for maximal force production over very short periods and fatigue quickly. These fibers are predominantly used during maximal lifts, such as a 1-rep max deadlift or during a sprint. The larger diameter of Type 2 fibers allows them to produce more force compared to their Type 1 counterparts. This makes them essential for strength and power athletes who need to exert significant amounts of force in a short period. Weightlifters, powerlifters, and sprinters, for example, rely heavily on these fibers to generate the explosive power required in their respective sports. Type 2 fibers are also more prone to hypertrophy, or muscle growth, because of the type of stimulus they respond to. When subjected to resistance training with heavy loads and lower repetitions, these fibers undergo micro-tears. As the body repairs these tears, the muscle fibers increase in size, leading to greater muscle mass. This makes type 2 fibers particularly important for individuals focused on building muscle through resistance training programs. While these fibers are highly effective for producing quick and powerful movements, they are more dependent on anaerobic energy systems which do not rely on oxygen. Instead, type 2 fibers use stored ATP and glycogen for quick energy production. However, this energy source is limited and depletes rapidly, which is why activities that activate type 2 fibers, such as sprinting or weightlifting, are performed in shorter, more intense bursts. As fast-twitch fibers generate more metabolic byproducts, such as lactic acid, athletes relying on these fibers may experience muscle fatigue and soreness more quickly compared to those engaging primarily in endurance activities. This is why explosive sports or high-intensity weight training often require longer recovery periods between sets or exercises. While both type 1 and type 2 fibers are present in all muscles, the proportion of each type can vary depending on genetics and the specific training an individual engages in. Athletes in endurance sports will typically develop a higher percentage of type 1 fibers, while those focusing on strength and power will see a greater number of type 2 fibers. Training strategies are key to unlocking specific fitness goals, and the approach to repetitions and load can dramatically affect the outcome of your workouts. The way you train determines which muscle fibers are activated, how your muscles respond, and what adaptations occur in terms of strength, size, or endurance. Understanding these different strategies will help you align your workouts with your desired results, whether you're looking to build muscle, improve strength, or boost endurance. If you're enjoying the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, click the subscribe button. Low repetitions with heavier loads, stimulating type 2 muscle fibers for growth. When the goal is muscle growth, focusing on low repetitions with heavier weights targets type 2 muscle fibers, which are larger and more capable of hypertrophy than type 1 fibers. These fast-twitch fibers are responsible for generating force quickly and are activated during short, intense efforts. When training with heavy loads, typically in the range of 1 to 6 repetitions per set, the muscle is forced to recruit a greater number of these fibers to meet the high demand for force production. This type of training is essential for those aiming to increase muscle mass, as type 2 fibers are not only larger, but also have a higher capacity for growth compared to their slow-twitch counterparts. By lifting heavy weights with fewer repetitions, the muscle undergoes significant mechanical tension, which is a key driver of hypertrophy. Mechanical tension refers to the amount of force placed on a muscle during contraction, and when the load is heavy enough, it causes small tears in the muscle fibers. These micro tears signal the body to repair and rebuild the muscle stronger and larger than before, leading to growth. The greater the load, the more the muscle is forced to adapt by increasing its size to handle similar loads in the future. This is why low-rep, high-load training is a staple in bodybuilding and strength training routines aimed at maximizing muscle size and strength. Moderate repetitions, strength building, and muscle microtrauma. Training with moderate repetitions, typically in the range of 7 to 12 reps, strikes a balance between strength and hypertrophy. This range is often considered the most effective for promoting muscle growth while still improving overall strength. When working in this repetition range, the weight is still substantial enough to cause mechanical tension, but the volume is higher, meaning the muscle spends more time under tension. This combination is ideal for promoting muscle hypertrophy. During moderate repetition training, the muscle fibers experience microtrauma or small tears in the muscle tissue. These microlesions are essential for muscle growth as they trigger the body's repair processes, leading to an increase in muscle mass. Over time, as the muscle repairs itself from repeated bouts of this type of training, it grows larger and stronger to better handle the stresses placed upon it. This repetition range is often used by athletes who seek to balance strength and size. It is also favored by those aiming for overall fitness, as it allows for muscle growth without neglecting the development of muscular endurance and strength. The time under tension in moderate repetition training is particularly important, as it provides the necessary stimulus for both fast-twitch and slow-twitch fibers, although the focus remains primarily on type 2 fibers. While the weight used is lighter than in low-rep training, the higher volume helps to further challenge the muscle's endurance and resilience, ensuring comprehensive development. Over time, this method contributes to the growth of both muscle size and strength while minimizing the risk of injury, as the weights are not as heavy as those used in low-rep training. High repetitions, increasing muscular endurance. When the goal shifts to endurance, training with high repetitions, usually over 12 reps per set, becomes the focus. High repetition training is less about muscle growth and more about improving the muscle's ability to sustain activity over long periods. This style of training is particularly effective for athletes involved in endurance sports like long-distance running, cycling, and swimming, where the muscles need to continue functioning without tiring quickly. By using lighter loads and performing more repetitions, the body primarily activates slow-twitch muscle fibers, which are designed for endurance activities. These fibers are more resistant to fatigue, allowing them to contract for longer periods without needing as much recovery. While they generate less force than fast-twitch fibers, their ability to perform repeatedly without fatiguing makes them essential for endurance. High-repetition training also encourages better capillary development around the muscles, which improves the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to working muscles during prolonged activities. Over time, this adaptation increases the muscle's ability to use oxygen efficiently, making the body more adept at maintaining performance over long periods. Training periodization is a method that structures workouts over time with the goal of optimizing performance and achieving specific fitness outcomes. This approach divides training process into different phases, each targeting specific adaptations, such as strength, endurance, or hypertrophy, by varying the load, intensity, and repetition schemes. Early phases. Low repetitions with high load. The initial phase of periodized training is often dedicated to building maximum strength. During this phase, the focus is on performing low repetitions, typically between 1 to 6 reps per set, with a heavy load. The reason behind this approach is to stimulate the neuromuscular system and fast-twitch muscle fibers, which are essential for generating high levels of force. By lifting heavier weights, the muscles are exposed to significant mechanical tension, which helps improve overall strength. During this stage, the athlete is training to enhance the body's ability to recruit more muscle fibers during each lift. The heavy load requires the muscles to generate more power, and this leads to increased neuromuscular efficiency. This period is not necessarily focused on muscle size, but on improving the ability to lift heavier weights and generating maximum force. Middle phases. Reducing load, increasing repetitions. As the training progresses into the middle phases, the goal shifts toward increasing the number of repetitions while slightly reducing the weight. Typically, the load is lowered and the rep range increases, reaching a maximum of around 8 repetitions. This transition serves to improve muscular endurance and strength simultaneously. In this phase, the muscles are still subjected to significant stress, but the volume of work increases as the repetitions go up. The shift from low-rep strength training to moderate-rep endurance training allows for greater time under tension, a key factor in muscle adaptation. This stage encourages the development of both fast-twitch and slow-twitch fibers, which helps improve overall muscular resilience. The moderate load still engages the fast-twitch fibers, but also starts to develop the muscle's ability to sustain effort for longer periods. This phase is critical for building a solid foundation before moving to more demanding endurance or hypertrophy work. Final phase, high repetitions to near failure. In the final phase of periodization, the emphasis moves toward high repetitions, pushing the muscle closer to its endurance limits. The repetitions increase significantly, often going beyond 12 reps per set, while maintaining an effort close to maximum capacity or training to failure. This phase is particularly effective for muscular endurance and hypertrophy, as it maximizes time under tension and creates metabolic stress within the muscle. Training to failure in this stage means pushing each set until the muscles can no longer complete another rep with proper form. This not only taxes the muscle fibers, but also forces them to adapt by growing stronger and more capable of sustaining effort in future sessions. The extended repetitions also increase the accumulation of metabolic byproducts, such as lactic acid, which stimulates growth and endurance adaptation. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.